Hello, everybody. I'm Raul, and I'm here at the Catch Wrestling Alliance, and we keep real wrestling alive. So, thank you for joining me. This subject was brought to my attention by our good friend, our Jiu-Jitsu black belt PhD anthropologist, Thiago Niemeyer. Hopefully, I pronounced the Portuguese right. This past weekend, something big happened, at least in the MMA and Jiu-Jitsu world. So Rodolfo Viera had a match. So I think a lot of you who follow MMA or at least follow Jiu-Jitsu might have known about this fight because as soon as this fight ended, Thiago messaged me, and basically this big time was ADCC champion, big time. I think they even called him like the black belt hunter. Big time jiu-jitsu champ got submitted by someone who was supposed to lose, and some guy with the nickname, the fighting name Fluffy, right? So Fluffy Hernandez from right here from California submitted a guy who basically should have won the fight. So the betting odds were not in Fluffy's favor whatsoever. And so, but the of course, you might hear people talk about like, oh, this maybe the fight got thrown or whatever. I really doubt that. And so that's what brings me to like the subject of our talk today, right? It is what's it called? Strength and conditioning, right? Um, I'll get. I'm seeing people commenting already, so I will get to that pretty soon. But yeah, so the main thing is strength and conditioning. So people are talking about, oh, maybe Rodolfo, right, might have like had a problem weight cutting or this and that. But the thing is, um, he has a seven, it's 8 fights now, right? It's like 7-1 record. So that means, and also competing in ADCC. So he's done all these kinds of tournaments. So MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, whatever. So he should know about how to keep himself in shape. And yeah, maybe you slip every once in a while. But the thing is, let's not necessarily talk about his mistakes so much, but let's go ahead and talk about ways for you to understand how to do strength and conditioning so that you don't like mess up like the way Rodolfo did, right? So a fight that you were supposed to win, um, but you just gassed out. Right? Also, maybe he's not used to getting hit so much or whatever, and he's maybe not used to people uh, not used to people just not being scared of him, not being intimidated, right? So, with that being said, not everyone's going to know who you are. Even if you're the best catch wrestler, the best jiu-jitsu player, the best striker, they might not necessarily know who you are. But the thing is, the way you show them who you are is by being fit, right? So you want to wear them out and be able to outlast them, just in case you don't win right away, right? But what I've been seeing a lot of is like, say, even in catch wrestling, you hear a lot of people talking about, say, like even doing like the mace, swinging a mace around or whatever, like a big club, Indian clubs and this and that, where stuff that you can do like repeatedly for a long time. This is kind of the details that I kind of want to get into today. It's like, and to let you know my background, so I was a trainer for athletes at UCLA, like the university here in Los Angeles. That's where I graduated from, and I have a background in sports physiology and this and that. So anyway, so this is the information I'm giving you. So UCLA really relied on the organization called the National Strength and Conditioning Association. So for those of you who are not in the United States, this is the organization that does major research on athletic performance, and this is a lot of their research is what we use to dominate, right? I mean, not just like this is why the United States still gets a lot of or the most gold medals because in the Olympics because the research done by the NSCA. So that means that they research on kind of like some of the like what are the best and most efficient training modalities for athletes, and so that we can train our athletes in a better way so they're not getting injured and that they're basically at their peak when time comes for competition, right? So I know that not every country has that type of advantage as we do. So I kind of want to give you guys some of the basics to think about because there's a lot of different things you'll see online or wherever you live or whatever. Like a lot of people doing all this kind of strange stuff, but let's kind of break it down and make it real simple, right? So there's four things I want to talk about, right? So with regards to strength training, though, there's three modalities, right? So it's explosive power. That's stuff for like football, where it's like you're on the line and you got to just hit someone as hard as you can. That's one way of training. But then also you want to train for just overall strength, and that mode is called strength and hypertrophy, right? And then there's also called cardiovascular endurance, like muscular endurance, right? And then the other thing would be cardiovascular endurance. So these are separate things. And so when you hear your buddy in the gym saying like, "Oh, I did a bunch of reps, and so I'm getting my cardio," that's just wrong, right? That wouldn't be considered cardio. Doing something that's so we call like sub-maximal, so something that's not it's so easy for you to do, just like walking. You can walk for 20 minutes straight. That starts to become cardio. But if you start adding, if you add a barbell with hundreds of pounds on it, and you try to do a few lunges, right? You're not going to be able to do lunges for 20 minutes straight, right? Or at least if you are able to, then that means the weight is too light, right? So that wouldn't fall into any of these categories of gaining strength or gaining like bigger muscles or what we call like muscular endurance. You have to train that and like, get to train it in a way that you will fatigue and that you cannot. Basically, you can think if you're doing 20 reps or more, it's too easy. So you have to increase whatever weight you're doing. But say like something so let's go and get back to the original part. Or if you're training just for power, for just explosive power, then yeah, you can actually do some of like more of the Olympic lifts, right? Where say like where you lift the barbell up high, right, and then you can try to push it up, right? Stuff like that. Those lifts that you see, you still will have to be able to only do it a few times. So maybe 8 repetitions at most. So usually people even do only about like 4 or 5, right? And then you'll have to have a longer rest period in between. But say if you want to gain strength, what we call like strength and hypertrophy mode, right? Then you can even go up to 12 repetitions. So a weight that you can be doing 12 times. But again, it won't necessarily be like curls or like tricep extensions. Usually we call it like compound muscles, right? So compound exercises, right? So something like where you're pushing, right? So something like even like any kind of chest press. So even if you have the bar, right, or whatever, like a bench press or whatever, totally fine. So any push, any pull, any pushing up, or any pulling down, usually that's going to give you really more stable shoulders, right? Plus, it's going to give you the strength that you need, especially in fighting or wrestling, because you're not just doing a curl. You're not just pulling someone to you. You're actually using like your back muscles. You're using a bunch of muscles all together to pull someone into you, and you're actually going to try to hold them to you, right? Right, especially in jiu-jitsu, right? They're always trying to pull someone and like hold them onto their back, right? They're usually like in this position. So that involves more than just your biceps, right? So just only doing biceps, yeah, that can create something that can be strong here, but like say if your forearms aren't trained or whatever, then it'll like your hands will be able to be part of that chain that keeps someone pulled to you, right? So that's why you really want to be doing these compound movements. But say movements like in particular, the one I see the most is like swinging the mace and stuff like that. Yeah, they can make you strong a little bit, but again, if you're able to swing it, if you're able to do like 20 or more repetitions, then it's becoming more cardio, right? So it's not necessarily, and I'm sure people are gonna like be all upset about it, but it doesn't fall within those three modalities that I'm talking about. So even muscular endurance. So muscular endurance is still something that you can only lift. Basically, still like about 15. You can kind of mess around with it, like 15 to 16 repetitions. But if you're hitting 20 repetitions and more, you have to increase the weight. Otherwise, it's not really benefiting you very much, right? One thing that maybe I can see being beneficial would be something like battle ropes or whatever. We see that more and more nowadays because it can be more of an intense workout, or like so it can mimic like trying to give all you have, right? Or like punching a lot, or kicking a lot, or just trying to hang on for the last few seconds of a match. Then that's something that you're going to that I would mimic, or that I think it mimics something like that better than just like swinging other things, or I think sometimes even climbing rope and stuff like that would be more beneficial. Um, so now so you have like the explosive power, and then strength and hypertrophy, and then muscular endurance, and then so those are the kind of like the weight training kind of things, right? So that's the muscle stuff, and this is not cardio. Cardio is still something different that you should, or that you have to do. So, um, so say if you see, even if you're training, if your modality is muscular endurance, you'd probably still fatigue in a fight, right? You still have to add the kind of like the strength training for your heart and lungs, right? So that is going to be cardio, right? And so again, that's why when I mentioned walking is something you can do for hours, right? So you might want to do something to make it more intense or more difficult, right? So that's why we jog, right? Or even some people put weight vests on, or some people do other types of um, ways, other things that are difficult, right? But it still has to be something that you can do more than 20 minutes, right? So even a lot of times fights are only going to be at most, so say like in MMA, you'll have like well, it's like 5 rounds, 5 minutes, right? So it's still not going to be going over 30 minutes, right? In catch wrestling, we have a sustained 20-minute time period. That can even go longer. If you, like, I would kind of like that, right? But it can go longer. So you're gonna have to train accordingly, right? So that's why you got to be doing like the weight stuff, right? The strength training plus we say like the conditioning. But I wouldn't necessarily consider like not doing both, right? So like the cardio and the weights should be done together. You can be also adding other things like even yoga and stuff like that, or like power yoga and stuff like that that uses range of motion and stuff, so that you can also keep your range of motion instead of just like lifting and then getting really strong, but then you can still be susceptible to injury if you're not doing the flexibility training as well. So let's go ahead and add that in, because that's actually a major component and a major reason why people's careers are shortened because of these injuries that are preventable. Like statistically speaking, if the better range of motion you have, the decrease in injuries that you will have, or the decrease in the chance of injuries. Right. So you got to be doing the strength and conditioning plus the flexibility training. That should, if you basically don't stop those things, you can be ready pretty much year round to like for a match, or for whatever sport you want to be doing. You'll be ready for that, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and actually let's see if I can try to work this thing. So let's go ahead and show the video here. Okay, so this is like the highlight video. I feel comfortable talking, or at least showing this, because UFC shows longer videos on their Chinese social media. So I got it from it's called their Weibo. So it's kind of like the Chinese Twitter. And the clip they showed is actually longer than this. But you kind of see what happened here. Rodolfo Viera was totally gassed out, and just try to not let this happen to you. And it can happen to the best of us. Sometimes even nerves can do it. Um, so you know, it's something to like learn from. Definitely, definitely. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get to some of your questions here, because I think I have like explained well enough, like stuff that you can be doing to make sure that this doesn't happen to you. But you know, just know that, because I didn't mention mindset so much because we talk about mindset like all the time. So that would still be something that kind of goes without saying. So you got the mindset, you got the cardio, then you can be training, and you can kind of switch it up where it's like you can be training for you know, muscular endurance, and then like kind of explosive power. So you can be changing these up, and especially since we talk about wrestling, but we also talk about MMA, and in this case we're talking about an MMA fight. So combat sports have a mix of those components all together. So you're also going to be needing flexibility as well. So you're going to be needing flexibility, cardio, the muscular endurance, right? And also the explosive power. So training those kind of regularly and not training only one of them is the key really to performing. And then of course, like we said, the mental aspect, right? So you don't get drained and get beat psychologically before the match even starts, right? All right, so let me go ahead and get to some of your questions. Also want to give a big thanks for Chiego for, sorry, I, uh, I'm so bad with the name. It is Thiago, right? So bad with the Brazilian, the Portuguese names. All right, so let's go and get to your question. So Diego Santos, nice comment. Right? So catch wrestling is much better than BJJ. Yeah, that's my thing. So I have to agree. Right? Let's see some of the next questions. Diego Santos again, haha, laughing at others' misery. It's all right. It's all right. Okay, PJ Rivera. Moral of the story: fatigue makes cowards of us all. And as the saying goes, you punch a black belt, he turns into a brown belt. So keep hitting him till he becomes a white belt. Yeah, so that's kind of something that I was thinking about when I saw that, and I'm sure a lot of people were thinking the same thing. You know, you punch them uh, until they're pull up the video again. All right, so yeah, you can already see. Well, if you guys saw the fight, I mean, he actually went in really strong and basically just tired himself out right away. MMA is really difficult, so it takes a lot of energy, right? So it's difficult, right? And you can totally have this combination where uh, you just like gas out. So again, the importance of doing all these different things plus the mental aspect, like we usually talk about, but we kind of talk about the strength training stuff right now a little bit more. Um, all right, so keep on asking questions or commenting. I can totally stick around for a little bit to answer any questions, but we wanted to talk about this thing because it is such a big thing that happened, right? So a lot of people were really shocked, or like they were laughing. So say like Diego Santos here in the chat laughing. So uh, yeah, I did get some comments from people who like say from China and stuff like that, and like a lot of them, which I find refreshing. A lot of them don't follow jujitsu that much, so they're not like in awe. But what they were saying, so like from someone who doesn't follow and doesn't know kind of how big this was, they were like, "Well, it looks like it was this guy's first day." All right, like what's going on? So yeah, so like the fatigue and the lack of strength and conditioning, or even the whole mental aspect, right? That can make it look like you're a complete novice, right? So try not to let this happen to you, right? Let me know if you have any other questions or comments. So, hopefully I laid it out pretty simply. So you got the mindset, flexibility, the strength and conditioning, which would comprise different modalities of muscle training, right? So that can be, there's three main ones, right? So you got the explosive power, you got strength and hypertrophy, right? So that means growing your muscles, right? Getting stronger and growing them, right? And then you have muscular endurance, right? But all of those basically means like the higher weight and less reps. But all of these modalities require that you lift a weight that you fatigue at less than 20 repetitions, right? So doing stuff that's just like over, like even though they like it even reminds me of like shake weight, like these gimmick type exercise things where um, if you can be doing something like over and over and over and over, that means it's called submaximal. So it's probably not going to be benefiting you very much, right? So what would then benefit you would then just be to do cardio, right? If something is that easy, so then you want to then go for a run, right? And then you can also then work on improving your cardiovascular endurance, right? So you can be able to run faster. So then there's ways to train to be able to run faster as well, right? So you can be doing all these different things, and then all that combined, right, can make you a prepared athlete, right? And one that's probably not going to get injured, win or lose, right? So, but let's try not to think about losing, and let's try to remember actually what Farmer Burns said, right? It's like, do not eat, like, do not for 1 second believe that you can lose a match, even until it's only until your shoulders are on the mat and the match has been called against you should you not believe that you are capable of losing, right? Cool. So if there are no questions, I think this one was pretty good. I really wanted to get something out there with regards to this. Um, it's like I don't want to say anything about like what's better, jiu-jitsu or catch wrestling. They're both very difficult. MMA is also very difficult, very fatiguing. Um, so that's why you got to be ready. Whatever sport you like to do, you got to be ready for it, right? So I think we'll go ahead and keep this one short and sweet. And then we got a bunch of stuff coming at you on our YouTube channel this week. Like a bunch of different things coming up, and then we got some projects that we're still working on that are going to be ready probably by next week for you guys. So hopefully you guys like all that. So if there's anything you guys want to see, just put it in the comments. You're free to also join this channel. That's like in a membership way. So that would be just like helping support the growth of this channel, helping support our upcoming events and also our different projects. All that's appreciated. All the links will be below. You can. We also have you could support this channel by becoming like a member, where you can see all our extra content. Or if you want to learn catch wrestling through our online academy, if you're not near Los Angeles, if you're not near South Carolina, John Strickland, then you're free to join our online academy through our website. All that stuff will be in the description box below. If you have any questions, just let me know. So yeah, I'll be here. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, go ahead and let me know. Just like the way Chiago let me know about that match. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Okay. All right. So thank you for watching. And then make sure you keep real wrestling alive.